Music too loud in the background or no? You could hear the music? Could you hear the music play?
How's your morning?
You hear me or no?
Can't hear you. Oh,
Okay.
that's my fault. I had the headphones plugged in.
All right, cool.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I could hear you. I was asking if you had any time to finish up the case study with the guy, if you had anything else to add.
Um, I did. Did I? Let me check. I know I was writing some stuff up while we were chatting on the Zoom, but
Okay.
then the can't think straight this morning. The Wi-Fi went out, and then hold on, sweetheart.
Hey, what's up?
Um, the Wi-Fi went out, and then it just erased everything. So I have to check to see my notes if I wrote anything down.
All right, no problem.
But I
I was
still
just going.
have the notes with the blend that I put together.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, it's 12:38, so we could start. We discussing digestion today. I don't know if you get a chance to read up the notes on digestion.
Yeah, I did everything.
All right, cool.
I have some
So
questions and stuff. So
yeah, all right. So you wanna break down the process of digestion?
you want me
So
to do that?
yeah, if you want.
Sure. So it's ingestion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first part. Pretty much you eat the food. Um, you chew the food with your teeth, and then amylase is secreted in the saliva, which helps to break down the carbohydrates in the food.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tongue helps to swallow the food,
Yeah.
and it brings it to the pharynx, I
Why
believe.
why
Huh?
why does the tongue help you swallow the food?
Because it's a muscle that it's used to bring the food down to continue to digest,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then so it brings the food into the pharynx, and then the it brings it to the pharynx, and then there's a sphincter muscle, which divides um the esophagus and the trachea, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, not the trick, not really trick here. The larynx,
Okay, there you go.
right?
Okay.
When you, yeah, I think it's the larynx. But yeah, you know what? I know what you're talking about. Where
Okay.
air flows into the
Right, right,
lungs
right, right,
and where food goes, right?
right. Okay.
What you call that sphincter, that muscle.
It's the don't the epiglottis.
All right, cool. Right. And although I just want you to keep in mind that although they have a whole bunch of names for it, right? They're muscles.
Right.
All right. So go ahead.
All right. And then what's after that? All right. So the epiglottis opens up.
Mm-hmm.
The food goes down the esophagus. And through another sphincter muscle, which opens up a valve, and that enters into the food enters into the stomach, and then that's when more breaking down of the food takes place. I know that the liver secretes bile, and the bile is secreted into the stomach, right?
No,
Huh? Not
no,
yet. Not
not yet.
yet. Okay, so
Stomach produces its own.
hydrochloric acid.
Got you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, but doesn't it have any other enzymes that it's
Yeah, there's a lot of enzymes that take place, that is secreted into the blood, and it just ends up in the digestive system, the whole GI tract. You
right?
know, but we only going with what is written right now. You
Okay,
know, on a whole, there's a whole lot more that goes on,
right.
right? But yes, the stomach produces its acids, and
Mm-hmm.
those acids help break more of the food components down. And from there, you went to where?
Okay. So after the stomach, the food goes through another sphincter muscle, which brings the food into the small intestines. And
Mhm.
then in the small intestines, food is broken down even more with enzymes. And I think that's when the liver secretes. No, actually, no, wait. Is it the bile? Is it goes into the large intestines or the small intestines?
Small intestines.
Okay, all right. So that's when the liver produces bile. The bile then goes into the small intestines, and
Mhm.
then the peristalsis begins to move the food um, through the 10-foot long small intestines, and then it's then transferred into the large intestines,
Yeah.
and that's and oh wait, the small intestines is where most of the food is absorbed. Most of the nutrients is absorbed through the walls
Yes,
and
it
into the
is.
bloodstream.
Mhm.
Hey sis. Um, and then so once the nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream, it's then traveled into the large intestines, and that's where most of the water is absorbed into the body. Um, and the breaking down of the food even further with certain bacteria, right?
Most of the water is absorbed, or most of the water is stored.
Well, I know water is absorbed through the small intestines as well, right? So it's is it the excess water that's in the stool that's actually reabsorbed into the body?
No, no. The water, the colon is a storage area. It stores the most water in the body, and that is
Right.
to keep everything moving freely,
Okay.
because you don't want waste piling up,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and that's why they tell us to drink so much water. I mean, water could be stored other places, but if you retain in water in other parts of the body, you should be checking that out, you
Right,
know.
right.
But you don't really absorb much nutrients from the colon at all. It's just basically waste. The large
Right.
colon, large intestine. They call it all kinds of names, but as I say, we keep it simple. Large intestine,
Okay.
right? Because they do have the duodenum and the jejunum and all this type of stuff, right? All the different names, but we're gonna keep it simple. But yeah, from there, it's just elimination, and that process should be. It sounds simple enough, right? But where do we run into problems? One thing you didn't mention was the pancreas.
Oh yes, yes. The pancreatic juices, which is for the stomach, right?
Mhm.
Right. Okay.
Stomach, no, intestine,
The
small
small
intestine.
intestine.
Yeah,
Okay. Which helps to break down the food even further.
yes. Because what food is, let me show you. Let me draw some. Let me see. All right, so they have the molecule chains, right? You see them all the time when they're showing when they're showing DNA and all of that, and they have pretty molecules and all, real spectacular stuff,
Hmm.
right? Um, so what has to happen is when you eat, and they say complex carbohydrates and all this type of stuff, right? So say this is the food here that you eat, right? For your body to absorb it or use it, it has to break it down to the one molecule.
Right.
That's what your liver and the rest of the digestive system does. The liver is the one that kicks in and transforms a lot of the, the singular molecules into stuff that your body can use, that your body needs, right? If the food that if the food that we eat is not, how to put it, in line with what the body wants, right? Which is most processed food, what will happen is you feed it and you feed the body more and more, right? And then the liver has to work even harder now to try to transform what you just ate into something of life to give the body the energy that it needs, right? So simply putting it is that we overwork the body by the way we eat sometimes,
Right.
right? And, and with that said, it's like now not only the liver has a hard time or works harder, every organ, every gland that is with the digestive system, basically the whole entire body, has to work harder because now, as we said before, right, we always talk about food. Look at food for what it is. For you to have canned food, right, it has to be heated to a certain amount of degrees. Somewhere there's, I think it's like 3,000 degrees. They have to heat that to kill everything inside of it, all the enzymes, all the nutrients, to can it. Because if they don't, what will happen? It will start breaking down in the can, right? And then people will open cans and see rotten food in there, right? So in order for food to be alive, it cannot come from a can, a sealed
Right.
can. It cannot, right? That's why when you go to the produce market, everything is open now because if they store them in plastic bags, as we do when we go and shop, we put it in the plastic bag, we tie it, and we put it in the fridge. Within what days, what starts to happen to it?
That's
It
right.
starts to decay, right? And it starts to rot. So anytime you eating like that, that type of food, right? What will happen is everything has to work harder because now the pancreas has to produce even more enzymes. The stomach has to produce even more acid, right? So now where does it get the energy from to break these things down, to produce the enzymes and the different acids that it needs to break this food down? Where does it get it from? The only place it could get it is from within,
Right.
right? So your storage areas, all your bones and all your blood and your tissue, right, is going to take what it needs to provide these enzymes and these acids and this probiotic and all of this to help break this food down so it could use, right?
Right.
So now, when you see the body, and that's what happens with diabetes, the pancreas is overworked because every time you eat, and look at what we eat, right? Nothing but sugar.
Right.
So every time sugar comes in the body, right, the pancreas kicks in and is trying to take these sugars and put it into the cells. Now, if there's too much sugar in the body, what happens is the cells close off. Well, actually, you'll get a better taste of how the cells work with next week because the endocrine system explains a lot of that, how hormones move in and out of cells. And it's the same way nutrients moves in and out of cells. There's receptors, right? And there's some that could just bind to the cell, right? Sugar is not one of them that just binds to the cell. It has to be received. So if the receptors are closed off, then there's no way the sugar is gonna get in there, right? So what the body does now, tell you the body is amazing. So what it does now, it stores it in the tissue, right? And that's why people start putting on weight, getting fat tissue, right? Adipose tissue, whatever you want to call it, tissue, right? And then they start putting on weight and to a point where you can't get nothing into the cells because you just have too much sugar in your body, right? The pancreas is being overworked, right? And we you know what? All right, yeah. Pancreas is being overworked, and the kind of things that we do to change the situation is just crazy,
Mm.
because we know that the beta cells is what produces the insulin, but yet we go and take beta blockers.
Mm.
Listen to the words and
Right.
match the words with what's going on with the body, and you will see why would you take beta blockers if beta cells is what is produced by the pancreas that produces the insulin.
Right. Because the body's always doing the right thing.
Exactly. So there's a lot that goes on, and digestion is a main one. I mean, start off from let's start off from where um, what they call it, acid reflux, right? Where people have this burning sensation coming up, right? Uh, what's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on that? Acid reflux. Listen to what I said, acid reflux. Because you're not eating acid.
Or
You're
the
not
acid
eating
coming from outside.
the acid is coming up,
Right.
right?
So
So
causing
how
that
much?
to come back up.
Right? And we know that it's the stomach that produces a lot of acid, right? So if the acid is coming up, it's coming from the stomach, of course, and acid burns, so it is going to burn coming up, right? So for it to be coming up, that means something is wrong further down the chain. Why it's not moving down?
So something is weakened pretty much. The valve that closes off the esophagus and the stomach is weak.
Hmm.
Or in the case of a woman being pregnant, would you say it's the pressure of,
No, because she was that designed to be pregnant.
right? So, okay, so whether a woman is pregnant or someone, a man or a woman, obviously the woman wouldn't be pregnant. That means that um, something is causing the valve to be weak to cause the acid to come back up.
Yeah,
So it's always the
that
valve.
is one thing that could happen. Hmm.
Is that always the case? A weak valve?
No, it's not always the case.
So if the valve is not weak, then how is the acid coming back up?
Remember, the body always doing the right thing. So if it has to open a valve for the acid to come back out, that's because, as I said, something either within the stomach or further down the chain is not happening correctly.
Right.
90% of the time, what happens with that whole acid reflux is the stomach is not producing enough acid. Doesn't
Enough
have
acid.
enough acid, right?
How
Because you
about
need,
too much? No?
huh? What's that?
Can it be either or? Can it be too
Too
less
much?
or too
No.
much?
Why would it produce too much? It knows what it has to do, right?
But I mean, when wouldn't there be some reason why it would produce too much? Just like
No,
anything else in the body?
no.
No.
Because it's like your saliva, right? Depending on what you're gonna eat, right? Or if you're drinking, right? The mouth will salivate. The mouth will salivate, right? As they say, due to what you're putting in,
Or
right?
even before you even put it in.
Huh? I didn't hear you.
Even before you put it in. Sometimes your mouth salivates by smell or
Exactly.
mm,
Exactly. That's why, just by looking at something, it already is registered of what's gonna come in.
mm,
So your body already recalculates everything. I
right.
saw somebody wrote something here. Um, is that why they say drink apple cider vinegar? Well, apple cider vinegar will definitely help, and the reason for apple cider vinegar helping is because of the fermentation process, because that is what digestion is. It's a fermentation process, right? No, I wouldn't drink apple cider vinegar for for acid reflux because, as we said, the body is always doing the right thing. So when you eat food and your body is not producing the right amount of acid to break it down, right? It's gonna stay in the stomach area until it's broken down and then it passes through. So if it's not moving, there's not enough acid to break it down, right? Because the body knows if it sends it through the way it is, what nutrients are you gonna get? Because remember, we said before, the carbohydrate starts breaking down in the mouth. It's not everything enters the body. Remember, from the mouth to the anus is considered outside the body. So if it doesn't, if we are not able to break it down to that single molecule to be used by the body, then it's going to exit out, right? You all with me, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So once you start putting in things to increase the acid within the stomach, well, that whole acid reflux thing could disappear, right? But as I say, then now you gotta go down the line to make sure everything is, if the end of the line is clogged, when you use the tomato sauce, well, they put some preservatives in there for the tomatoes to maintain, right? Because I mean, you keep it in a jar and it's sealed. How long is it there? As I say, right? What happens is anytime you seal something, that's why when we do product making, like I wanted to show you all the syrup on Thursday, right? We didn't get to it, but when we make syrup and we put it in the bottles, I always use one of those Ziploc bags. You could buy the professional lids or the fancy lids if you choose. I use a Ziploc bag and put on and then put the cap on, right? It's never sealed. It always has to have air flowing through it. Because remember, to be alive, you have to maintain what?
5 elements.
5 elements. So if you seal something off, right, then there's no air. So it's going to die, it's going to break down, it's going to rot, and it's going to die much faster
Mhm.
than something that's designed to be living. That's why alcohol will mash you up. They call it the fire water or what it is because it's dead, right? And now they would preach to you in the what they call it. Oh, wine is good for you, right? Because wine is still living, it's still alive in some sorts because of the cork that they use, right?
What would you say, herbal, herbal
Mhm.
tonic?
But of course, that's the only how I will sell the herbal tonic. It has to be alive, and of course, because you see, thing is now, if you sell the herbal tonic and you use it as recommended, right? 9 times out of 10, when if you wake up in the morning or whenever you use it, you don't get headaches, right? But you use the alcohol, you end up with hangovers, right?
Right, right, right.
Right. So would you say heartburn is a misunderstood issue where they don't know what the body is trying to do, what causes stomach acid? Maybe I missed it. No, you're absolutely right. Because what do they use for heartburn? Pepto Bismol. What is this? What's that thing they throw in the glass and it fizz up?
Um, I forgot the name of it. I know what you're talking about.
Antacids.
You're right, right.
Why would you use antacids if your
Yeah.
stomach's supposed to be producing
Sus-
acid, right? So simple thing as, all right, so being that that's the case, I always say, all right, so if the stomach, if you're experiencing acid reflux, the stomach itself is what they call it's not producing enough acid, right, to help break the food down. And if that is compromised, if that's the case, then you should know the rest of the systems that inject um, enzymes and stuff like that into the body is compromised also.
So which happens first? So when you eat a certain type of food, right? Obviously, once it hits the stomach, then the other organs start to, or the other accessory organs start to um, secrete certain liquids, right?
From the time you see it, from the time you smell it.
From the time it hits your mouth, pretty
Hmm.
much, you start chewing it. That's when there's signals to the other organs to either stop production or slow production.
It's it to start production
To
because it
start.
already, yes,
But let's just say in the case of a heartburn, right? Acid reflux. When does, because when is it, because you said that the other organs are being affected too, right?
yeah. Hmm.
But there's low acid in the stomach. So does that mean that the other organs have slowed down the production of what they're supposed to secrete, or is it
It
too
could
much, too little for the
no,
other?
no. What happens is you have. It's not that one the body doesn't work separately. I
Right,
know we're talking about organs here, but it's one body. So if the stomach has food in it, right, and it's trying to break that food down, right? Remember, it's still outside the body,
right,
right? So now all the organs are producing, but they're just producing enough for when it leaves from the stomach to go to the small intestine,
right,
right? And it calculates everything to the T on how much and when it needs to release whatever it needs to release, whatever hormone it needs to release, right? So now the food is in here in the stomach. It's not breaking down. It's breaking down slowly, right? To the point where your body's always talking to you. So when that acid starts to come up and burn, obviously there's stuff sitting in the stomach, fermenting like crazy, which it shouldn't be there, right? Simple stuff as starting to use what do you call it, aloe vera, right? Get some pieces of aloe and start drinking it down, taking it down, right? And it will help. It will provide a nice coating, for all that burning sensation that it had up there. And you could use other stuff too, right? And then the bitterness of the aloe is what brings out more acid, what gives the body the ability to produce more acid. That's
right.
why in many digestive syrups and digestive teas, you're going to see a lot of bitter
Better. Mm,
herbs, right? Bitter is cleansing. So it's
right,
gonna cleanse that whole process, cleanse the whole stomach and all the way down,
right.
right? So something like that, and the whole the stomach clears up, and then all the acid reflux go away, you
Can I
know.
ask you?
Mhm.
So, what particular foods would you say? Because honestly, like I even had some issues with trying to understand what acid reflux was, even when I was pregnant, or even when I wasn't pregnant. I don't get it when I'm not pregnant, but it's what foods would you say would cause it? Like can you break that down? Like you eat a certain food, right? Okay, we understand what goes on once it enters the stomach, but what is it about the food? Is it the certain chemicals that's in the food? Is it the food doesn't contain a certain I don't know, nutrient? Like what exactly is in the food, and can you name like a certain food that will cause that?
All right. So remember, carbohydrates start breaking down in the mouth first due to the way that we eat,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's sugar. The main cause of all of that is sugar. Due to the way that we eat, right? We don't. How many people take their time and chew their food?
All right, true.
All right. When it's supposed to start breaking down in the mouth.
Right.
So now you have something that's supposed to start breaking down in the mouth already hit the stomach and it hasn't received the enzymes and the saliva that it needed to start
Right.
and hold, maintain the process. So now it's in the stomach,
My
right?
stomach can work even more.
Exactly. So it's partially digested and it's going to the stomach. Fine, right? But now, due to the fact that we're eating so much of the processed food and the body is being weakened by it because it has to overwork itself, right? To just maintain normal functioning, right? So now we're eating a lot of flour, we're eating a lot of rice, pasta, you know, what else? A lot of canned foods, a lot of cereals and stuff like that, with no type of nutrients in it. Absolutely none, right? So there's nothing to replenish what the body use to create the hormones and everything to break the food down, right? So go over that for a few years, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and you see how the body just continues to break down, right? Because it's not being nourished, and why I say that is because just look at the food that they put out there for us to eat. Everything is in a box or a can. I don't eat nothing from a can. I'm saying I never used to. Yes, I used to, right? But when you understand now that canned food, for it, I mean, shoot, just cooking your food on the stove too long will kill a lot of the nutrients. Just imagine heating up a food to 3,000 degrees and then putting it in a can and sealing it.
And then taking it out and then heating it up in a microwave.
Exactly, exactly. And look at it when you open it up and you see that liquid inside it. What is that liquid? What is it? You pour it out and it's like gel, and you putting that in your body? Come on. We have to start making sense to what we're seeing, right? So, all right, we done with that. Any more questions on the stomach? I mean, there's a lot of issues people could have with the stomach because the lining of the stomach could get destroyed and from certain things, alcohol and all these type of foods, too much sugar and all that, right? So now you're going to the small intestines, the pancreas. The pancreas is a big one, and most of the time the pancreas get wears out. That's why this whole type 2 diabetic come around, right? Wear the pancreas out so much that it can't produce enough insulin. It's not that it's not working. When you type 2, it's not that the pancreas is not working, right? It's producing, but it can't produce enough insulin for what you're eating. So if it can't do that, what is your first steps? What the first thing you should do? When you eat, your pancreas cannot produce enough insulin for the food that you eating. What would be your first step? I missed that. Hold on, let me see.
I would say get something, eat something that's gonna stimulate the pancreas. So
Change the way you eat. That's number one. Change what you putting in,
right.
right? Once you start doing that, everything will start to change because now pancreas doesn't have to produce as much insulin, right? It's because it's already not producing enough. So now, if you take away and you change what you're eating, then what you eat should satisfy the pancreas, right? And then there was bitter stuff. Yes, you have to add bitter stuff because bitter is cleansing. It's going to start cleansing not only the entire body, but the pancreatic organ itself, right? Because what happens is once that whole sugar process takes over, the pancreas starts breaking down. They call it this calcification. So it's being calcified, right? And with calcification, the cells that have to produce the hormones are actually dying, right? So now, once you do that, now you feed the pancreas also, right? So you get the pancreas is a high mineral organ, right? So you need foods with high minerals. Irish moss is something people with diabetes should be taking every day. And when it comes to nutritious foods that don't have all that sugar, avocado. No matter, give a person with diabetes at least. And tell them anytime they feel like snacking, grab some avocados and eat. Because they're gonna fill them up real quick, right? Because the body's looking for nutrients. It's not looking for, all of that. Just looking for nutrients. That's all, right? What else? What else? Give me some other foods for the pancreas. You all know any? High mineral foods. When it comes to high minerals, one of the places we look all the times is should be the ocean, right? So a lot of sea vegetables, sea vegetables, seaweed, stuff like that. Yes. Right.
Spirulina.
Spirulina, you got dulse, you got bladderwrack, you got kelp, Joaquin flakes, um, obviously the Celtic sea salt, right? It's tricky when it comes to salt. When you look at salt, it will say it has iodide, right? The label will say iodide. What your body needs is iodine, right? Because iodide is a part of iodine, right? The part that you need is missing. And then when you look at Celtic sea salt, you cannot, they cannot put iodine on the label. That's because of the whole wordplay thing. So although the sea salt, the Celtic sea salt is good for you because it has those minerals that your body needs, the way how society promotes iodine, right? It's not on the label. So some people who don't know will look at it and say, well, it doesn't have iodine in the salt. Shouldn't be using it. But then they look at the table salt, that white shit, right? And they see iodide, and they're good with that, iodide, but without even looking up iodide and what iodide is, right? So stuff like that is where it gets tricky with the salts. But you could tell sea salt. Sea salt is always like damp. It's not dry, you know, and that's because it's loaded with a lot of minerals, right? From there, you go into the small intestine, right? In the small intestine, we know that the bile is injected right there to break the food down even more. If you have any brand recommended, not really. I don't really have a specific brand. I just look for Celtic sea salt, and actually sometimes you get it in a bag and you could actually see the texture of it. It would be like a moist texture. You could use that Himalayan pink salt also. But as I say, pay attention to the wordplay because you might see pink salt, right?
Mm,
And you're thinking it's Himalayan salt. It's very fine,
mm,
but the actual brand of the salt is pink salt, right? Not that it is pink salt. I just like how they play with labels. I just look at it like these people is crazy, but it's what they do, right? Himalayan pink salt is that type of a rock salt, but you could get the rocks and actually break it down in your mortar if you want. And that way you don't have to deal with fine pink salt and all of that, because you know how the market could be at any given time. That's why I always say when you see people running down a certain thing or it's high in the market, right? I choose something else because I don't want just about every and anything. There's a lot that we could use. One thing that's coming mainstream now is moringa tea. So all those teas that you see out there, you're gonna see it in mainstream with moringa, right? So
Mm,
my days for moringa is just about done unless I plant it. Or I'll
yeah.
go and I get the seed and
Yeah, they're producing it a lot in Haiti. Like
yeah,
a lot. That's like
okay.
one of I guess the largest production fields, I guess, that they have out there.
Mm,
It's nothing but moringa and something else. I forgot the other one. But these white folks are going out there and they're getting land and they're producing it and then they're shipping it and manufacturing it into these shops and stores.
yeah, I mean that's just how it goes. That's that's capitalism business model. Cannot beat that. It is what it is, right? Um, from so from there, from the stomach, we go into the small intestines, and remember, everything is moved by muscle, right? Peristalsis, they call it. Um, so anytime you're dealing with anything uh, digestive related, something has to be in there to help stimulate muscle movement, right? And that's what a lot of the herbs in the colon cleanse does, right? It stimulates muscle movement, so you could have that good bowel movement. That's what Cascara Sagrada does.
Mm-hmm.
I know you all love that herb. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody ever tried Senna here, but
Oh yeah.
Senna is one of them that is a little harsh, so you could balance it off with some turkey rhubarb, some ginger, or something like that. And you know, when it comes to the small intestine too, that's where most of your nutrients is absorbed from, right? So you want to keep that as clean as possible. Reason why I say that is because when we eat like the flour, white flour, especially white flour, what it does, it sticks to the walls of your colon, right? And then on the walls of your colon have these little villi that stick out that absorb and break down and do all kinds of stuff, right? So if it's sticking out like this, and then you eating flour and the flour just pacing, 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 right? Then eventually, how much of your nutrients are you absorbing?
All right.
Right? And then we see the stomach, not the stomach, the abdomen area starts to extend and extend and extend, and we wondering what's going on, or we getting old, right? All kinds of bullshit, but it's just a bunch of waste being stored within the body, right? And we need to get it out, and that's why it's good to just clean out every so often. I don't matter. It don't matter really what you're eating. Um, you know, I mean, if you just eating plants, doing your thing, nuts and fruits and all of that, hey, you should not have no problems with none of that. You know, the only thing you might be looking at is environmental wise, right? So you want to build up the immune system and stuff like that. But once you start eating dead food belongs in the ground, and it takes a very long time to pass through the system because, as I say, it has no enzymes, has nothing to help break it down. So as it
Okay.
goes through, now the body has to try and recalculate and produce it itself, right? So it's going to take a longer time. That's why all carcass is carcass. I don't care what you call it, chicken, poultry, beef, um, pork, whatever is carcass, right? That takes extremely long to pass through the body. Why? Because it's dead, right? Dead things really don't move. You You ever see dead men pick up a coffin?
Right.
It's very heavy. If you ever try to lift a dead person, they're very heavy.
Mm.
If your arm fall asleep and you try to pick it up, right, and it drops, if it drop and it hit you, it's gonna hurt as hell because it's very heavy, right? So anytime you throw in a punch, you don't really want to put force in the punch because it's not gonna hurt as if you punch from the hip and you just let the arm come. right? Because now you hit him with dead weight, and you can
Mm.
knock somebody out easily like that, right?
No.
Yeah, it's just it's little things that you right. So all the dead food that we eating, um, you know, and and just pay attention to how the body reacts when you eat those type of foods, right? It sometimes it gives you the itis, it puts you to sleep, right? Because what has to happen is your body has to reach for everything. It has your body's like, yo, all hands on deck right now. We need everybody. So what the body does, all the blood from the head flows down, just enough to keep you alive, right? And blood from everywhere rushes to the digestive system to try and do something with the poison that you just put in.
Right.
So you get the
That's
itis and you
every
fall.
single day.
Exactly, every day.
Like so many years. You know what? That's interesting because that's why it seems like when you reach a certain age and you've been eating like that for so long, it's kind of like a how do you say it? Like they usually say around like 40, 50 is when you start getting certain diseases,
Mhm.
because that's when your body is like, listen, I've had enough, and I don't want to do this anymore. But some people's bodies, it may do that earlier, like you might have a baby that you're breastfeeding, and as soon as you eat a certain food, it triggers them right, then and there. I'm pretty sure that what was happening when we were all children, we were all babies, is the parents weren't, they would kind of, whenever a symptom would happen in the baby, they would just push that to the side and think that it was normal. So they'll continue and to keep on giving them the same foods, or they'll take it out and then they'll put it back in later on in their childhood, which was with me with milk. Um, when I was a baby, my mother gave me uh, she gave me formula that had milk in it. We were allergic, so she gave me soy. And then when we got older, maybe around not even early teens, I would say elementary school age, she put milk back into our diet. And we would go to the bathroom very often, but I mean, we were children. And, of course, when we got older, we realized that that wasn't normal to always go to the bathroom every time you drink milk, or your stomach would hurt every time you drink milk. So we're so accustomed to eating a certain way that we think that it's normal until you get a certain disease. Because these symptoms, it's our body pretty much telling us, like, listen, like, it's, although it's doing the right thing, that's what it was doing, it was warning us until it hit rock bottom and started producing other symptoms that
Yeah,
can be life threatening.
body's always communicating with you.
Right.
Observation is key. What the body don't want is going to get rid of. It's going to either come out here, it's either going to come through your ass, or it's going to come through your pores or something. It's going to come through
Mm-hmm.
your skin. That's why people have
Mm,
breakouts and have
right.
all that white stuff that comes out, right? That's the white blood cells just pushing that shit out. Quite.
Mm,
And if it's pushing that out, you should know that person is already constipated, because
mm-hmm.
if it had a clear pathway, it wouldn't be coming through skin,
Right.
right? So stuff like that, you just look at stuff like that and observe, and it tells you a lot, right? So let me see what else, what else. Any more questions so far? I think we're
Well, you
good.
didn't get to the gallbladder, but I have a question about that when you get to there.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, ask the question now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so I know that the liver produces the bile,
Mm-hmm.
and it's secreted into the small intestines. But with the gallbladder, my question was, I know that the gallbladder stores and recycles the excess bile that's
Yeah.
produced, but is there like, is the overproduction of bile normal? Because I know that if there's excess, that means that the body is not using it. But when the gallbladder produces, when the liver produces too much, um, is that normal? Like, the gallbladder, that's its function, to actually store it and recycle it.
Mhm.
But Like, I'm just trying to understand, like, you know, there's too much, is that normal? That there's too much for it to, is that always going to happen for it to be excess?
All right, so no, because first of all, then you first question should be why will your body be producing too much bile,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Now, if your body is producing too much bile, how would you know that?
Is it the yellowing of the skin
All
and
right,
the eyes?
okay. It's not really the yellowing of the skin, right? Because remember now, the bile is pumped where? Into the small intestine, right?
Right.
Okay, so now as it's pumped into the small intestine, remember we said before, anything from the mouth to the anus is outside the body,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's actually pumping it outside the body into the small intestine. So the
Mm-hmm.
only how for it to get back within the body to actually affect the skin and the eyes, right, is through absorption,
Mm.
right? So for your body to reabsorb bile, why would it be doing that in the first place? Something down the line is not moving correctly,
Right. You're constipated.
more than likely, nine
Mm-hmm.
times out of 10.
Mm. Okay.
Somebody
So
said gallstones. Go ahead.
so the gallbladder is just there just in case.
It's not just in case, it does what it does. It washes the liver, keeps it nice and and it
It
shoots the,
recycles the bile too, right?
yeah,
It not only stores it, it recycles it. So
yeah, whatever bile it needs, it will pump it out into the small intestines.
does
It
the
just don't dump bile inside the body.
but does when it says recycles the bile, does that mean that it brings it back into the liver?
No, no.
So where is it
Right.
recycling?
Right. So this is your liver. This is my liver. This is my gallbladder. Right. So my liver produces the bile, gallbladder stores it. Right. So now, all right, I eat. Now my gallbladder, right, injects into the small intestine. Right. So as it injects into the small intestine, now more bile is stored here. Right. So as it is stored here, when you're not eating and there's no need for it, what happens? It just circulates.
Into back into the liver
Yes, it circulates. Some people say it
until
washes.
more food comes in.
Yes,
All
right.
right.
That way the liver is not producing excess of bile.
Mm. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So it just some people say it washes the liver, so it just goes around. It's like how to put it, because you want stuff. Things don't just sit still within the body.
Right. 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 Mm. It's always
You,
moving. Energy.
you're alive, so everything has to move. That's what energy does. It moves.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, when it comes to the stones, it all depends on what you're eating. That's what's going to give you the stones. Right.
High fat foods, right? Like
Yeah.
animal flesh fat.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right. All those, especially those fried foods, right? Because you're frying food in oil. Anytime you fry food in oil, right? The only oil that doesn't change its structure, right?
Grapeseed oil?
No.
Coconut.
Coconut?
Coconut, yes.
Mm.
So you shouldn't fry grapeseed oil either.
No.
Mm.
There's
Not
no.
olive oil either, right?
Well, all right. Let me don't say that. Let me don't say that. Let me don't say that. Let me take that back. All right. Now, if you have a temperature gauge on your cooker, right,
Oh.
showing you the temperatures of the oil when you're cooking,
Mm-hmm.
then what you could do, you could use certain oils,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they go up to a certain degrees, right? I know safflower is maybe like two something, 200 something degrees. And next one, but there's different degrees of oil, right? Before the oil starts to break down. So if you have that capability of monitoring your oil, then I mean by all means, right? But if you don't, olive oil doesn't have no type of heat tolerance at all,
Yeah.
right? As soon as you cook with olive oil, it just
It's
changes,
toxic. Yeah, it becomes.
right? And anything like that, now the liver has to try and produce something that is it's not familiar with,
Mm.
right? Something that is change its whole natural structure into a toxic poison,
Poor liver.
and it has to work extremely hard to get that into something that the body could use because that's all you put in.
Right.
Mm.
So
You
now
know,
coconut oil, you say, so coconut oil from, I mean, I did hear that it has no, like you can heat it at the highest temperatures and it won't change.
it won't change. Just look at coconut, right? You see how high it is, how close to the sun it is.
Yeah, and how hot it be.
Right. That's a good
But
observation.
wait now. Remember, remember, the sun is not hot. Heat rises.
Hmm.
Okay, so when the heat rises, the coconut is taking a lot of heat. So it knows from the get-go that hey, I could take heat, and that's the observation people should be making. Hey, take heat,
Mm.
right? But any type of those type of fried foods and stuff, or don't even talk for the corn oil and
Oh yeah, those oils are terrible. Cotton
especially
oil and
yeah,
And that's what we
they,
grew up eating.
yeah.
when they use it, it's so hot, right? They just dip the chicken in it and boom, chicken ready. You understand? So that type of stuff going in your body is like,
Poison. Damn.
you know, and so now the stones start to what do you call it?
To formulate.
Calcify?
Yes, the bile starts to calcify, creating these nice gems as they call it inside.
That's what they are. They're bio.
Yes, it's bile. Bile,
Hardened bile.
mhm,
Okay.
right? Bile, it's bile, and it's that it's the poisons, right? This how intelligent is the only word I could use, but it doesn't describe what the body does or is. Just imagine your body knows to hold this and starts crystallizing it, calcifying it, because it don't want to release it into the body to get you poisoned.
Mm.
That's
Wow.
how much the body wants to be here.
And then it keeps on building up, building up.
Wow.
Yes, it keeps building up, but that's the thing now. Observation is key. So when you take a dump, depending on what you eat, your poop should be like a yellow. It always should always have a yellowish hue to it, like greenish hue to it,
Like
because that
babies.
Yeah.
because that's the bile producing, right?
Wow. Mhm.
So if every time you poop and it poop come out black or the poop come out gray or
That
blue or
chalky brown.
yeah, now something should already be clicking.
Damn.
Something should be like yo, you know, because now gallstones is not something that's nice because if it builds up too much in the gallbladder, it has to come out somewhere.
Right. Mm.
And I don't know if you know anybody who passed gallstones already. It is a painful thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they rush them to the hospital. Oh, we gotta take it out. Take it out, and then
Wow.
send them home. You'll be fine. But without telling them what was the cause and
Hmm.
why they
Yeah.
can't eat that way anymore.
Right. Right.
You know, so it's just a cycle that we just continuing for no reason.
Right.
You know, this is what I want to tell you all. Refuse to get old.
Refuse.
Refuse to what?
Refuse to get old.
Hmm.
Because I'm not gonna get old, right? Because when you talk about getting old, what society means by that, you could see it every day. They just show the parents and the grandparents and the great grandparents in certain ways. And we see that and that energy is translated within the body.
That's
Mm.
true.
Right.
Right? So I
Embedded in.
say, yeah, I say refuse to get old. That's why you won't see me walking around here with no big big belly like at 6 months pregnant or anything like that. There's no way. I don't care how much age they think I have, right? It's just no way. Slow
Right.
down for what? If I'm eating right, why should I slow down? All right. Um, so that's the gallbladder and the bile. Let's
Can I
see.
ask another question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So another reason why the the bile production might be compromised is would it be because you were talking about we have to go a little, I guess, a little further into digestion. So when I asked the last question, pretty much if you're constipated, then that can cause like an overproduction of bile or um, I guess for it
Not a
to.
not a overproduction, not a overproduction of bile. It's because you are constipated. What is happening is the bile is being reabsorbed into the body,
Got
into
it.
the bloodstream.
Because it
Okay.
Right?
can't come out, right?
It cannot come out.
Okay. So constipation is one reason. Would another reason be the liver is compromised? The liver is being overworked. That would be another reason.
Um,
If the liver is supposed to be circulating that bile and waiting for food to come for it to be released, then pretty much what's happening is that the liver can't do its function anymore to kind of recycle that bile, right? So does that
no,
mean that
no,
all bile is
Or
being
produce
produced
the bile, maybe.
no, it's doing it. The liver is still doing its function, right?
even if
But
it's
remember,
compromised?
well, it will be. It will be, right? Because you already, first of all, you're already constipated, right? And then everything that comes in the body has to pass through the liver. So now, if your body is starting to reabsorb the bile, that means it's passing through that same bile that has been released to help with the digestion is actually coming back through the liver again.
And it picked up some other stuff with it.
Yes, right?
Uh,
And as it enters the blood, now you're getting the yellowing of the eyes and the yellowing of the skin,
mm.
right? Because more than likely it's going to pick up a lot of toxins too, because you are still, the person still constipated.
Okay, now for a baby, that happens to babies a lot. They call it jaundice, right? So the baby usually wouldn't be constipated, right? They're just born, their bodies are still functioning. So would you say that it's something that the mother was doing that's causing a disruption in that baby's digestive system?
Yeah, it because that's where the baby came from. It's not, and it don't have to be the mother, it could be the father too, right?
Mm,
My experience is when you see it comes to children, right? Remember, the body is always doing the right thing. It wants to be here. So in that whole intercourse, that whole energy that's coming together, right? It's gonna take the best of each.
mm.
So if the mother liver is compromised and the father liver is better, it's gonna take the father's liver, right? I'll get to that just now, Adele. It's gonna take the father liver. It's gonna take the mother's structure or blood or pancreas or whatever. It's gonna take the best of both to develop what it needs to be, right? And when it comes to children, the entire system is not developed. It's not developed at birth,
Right.
right? There's foods that they cannot digest, especially formula, they cannot digest them. That's why the mother produces milk,
Right.
so-called milk, right? So-called breast milk. I don't know why they call it milk, but all right. But that's why she produces that, and she produces it to feed the child. Now, how it's produced, right? It's it. You think the body don't doesn't know that you're feeding you're gonna energize a child, so it's gonna create filters. That's why the breast looks like that mammary gland thing, right? It's has so many filters in it that that baby is only gonna get nutrients. It should only get nutrients to build itself up, you know. But if the body doesn't have what it needs to work with, right? The mother is still, hey, Dunkin' Donuts and coffee every morning, bacon, ham, and egg and cheese on a roll, on a bagel, you know. Eventually, what the child is gonna get? Child is gonna get the same thing,
Mm.
right? And yes, that when you put them out in the sun, don't think the sun is just there for no reason. It comes out every day. We see it every day for a reason. That's why you could get rid of a lot of stuff from a child just being in the sun.
Mhm.
I know a child with eczema spent one summer on the beach. Eczema is no more.
Mm.
Right? Same thing with the yellowing of the skin and all that because the sun will cleanse your body too, right? And it helps the body with the processes, right? So when it comes to vitamin D, if you don't get the sun, right, the body cannot produce the vitamin D. And the vitamin D is what's needed, as they say, for the body to absorb calcium, which is like the number one, which I call the number one binder of all things.
Mm.
Listen to the word calcium,
Mm.
right? Is the number one binder of all things. So when you have the calcium, wait,
Oh yeah, they call them sanitarians or something like that.
I had to read that again. I had to read that again. All right. Otherwise developed and put them in the sun. All right, cool. Yes. Put them in the sun. They need sun. We all need sun, right? Um, you eat those people who stop food and only eat sun. Listen,
That's like fruitarians, suntarians. What they
yeah,
just
just like and it's our liquiditarians. Listen, all the titles and them is out there. That's fine. But you know what? Nature is there for a reason. So if I if you want to just eat sun, go ahead. I like mangoes, right? So I'm not just going to eat sun. They could do whatever they want. It's not going to last long because their body's going to lack, right? Because nature provides everything for a reason. It's not just throwing it up just like that,
right.
So, but yeah, there's so much. Put it like this. Before, let's look at the Bible, for example. Any one of them that you choose. They call it different names, but they all tell the same story. Before the so-called fall of man, right? Maybe we were in that situation where we could just walk around and breathe the air and be fine, right? Because hey, the air carries everything, carries the first food, oxygen, of course,
Mhm.
right? So maybe we could have do that, but at this point in time where we are now,
Mm.
you're not surviving with just sun. You're
Mm.
not surviving with just water, right? You're just not. I don't care where you are,
Right.
because all energy needs to maintain five elements. If you don't put them five elements into what you're putting in, you're not going to last very long. All right. Let me see the colon. The colon is something, the large intestine, it stores the waste to move to eliminate. When it gets too, you see, thing is now the colon now is it could stretch just like the skin, right? So when you eat, what happens is it starts to build up, right? All that flour and cheese and all that sticky stuff that you see. Yes, it's sticky, so it's gonna stick to your insides, especially if you don't drink enough, right? So it starts to build up and the colon starts to expand, right? And as I said, the abdomen area starts to protrude, so there's a bunch of waste inside there. I don't know if you ever saw those people who sometimes the belly be like hanging down way below the pants and the pants is actually on top of the belly. So now the transverse colon, the one that goes across like this, right, is so impacted that it falls over, right? And once that
Once that
happens, hmm, once that happens, I mean, it's not that it cannot be addressed. It could be addressed because obviously it needs to be cleaned, right? To cleanse the colon out, get the waste out. But how you want to do it is, at a certain pace because you don't want it to be clean and just be like this. When you clean a colon, right, what has to happen is it has to come back like this. And how you do that, you use stuff that pull, right? One of the main things that pulls is what? We put it on our face all the time because we want to look cute.
Aloe? Oh,
Aloe,
Clay and charcoal.
clay and charcoal.
okay.
Aloe also, right? It pulls. Astringents, if you want to call them that, right? And there's different blends you could make um, that people could mix up and drink, right? Um, to help with that. As you clean the colon, you will pull it together. And you see that whole stomach, that whole abdomen area go down. No
Now,
more
how
blood.
long would you say not to use that for a long period of time? Because you want your
Yes.
body to actually, because it's doing the right thing and it already knows what to do, but you have to just assist it,
Mhm.
just so that it can get back into its flow.
Yeah.
So how
You
long
don't
would you
want to do it
say?
for a long period of time because it is the answer, but it's not because it's not something we do every day, right?
Mhm.
One of the things we do every day is eat. We fuel the body. So we know what we want to do while we're in that process is start changing the way we fuel the body. But once you change the way you fuel the body, then all them issues they just disappear. They're not around.
You don't need those remedies anymore.
No, you don't. You don't. You
I
know?
have a question.
Yeah.
So for like colonics, right?
Hmm.
For someone who, like, let's say, I guess one of us who like more plant-based eaters, but you eat certain, maybe not white flour, but you do have like some starches sometimes. In terms of colonics, like yearly, what do you suggest in terms of like how many times we should be doing colonics, like every few months? Or is it that we should just be maintaining with the herbs? Um, what's your take?
My take is I go back to Sesame Street when they come to that. There's the guys who trying to get to his girlfriend's house, but the sign says one way. One way, the sign says one way. So when it comes to colonics, I just don't because now I'm going against what the body does naturally. Now, don't get me wrong, it does work, right? And if someone needs it, I mean, they could go and get it, but it's not a end game,
Yeah.
right? It is a one way, and it should be treated like that.
Can I say
You know?
something?
So instead of injecting the water and the herbs inside, then drink it. Why not? You could get the same results, and the results that you get is going to be over time, and it's going to be more effective in the sense of when it comes to cleaning out and contracting, putting the muscles back together again.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So as a colon therapist, right, I
Mhm.
pretty much was trained to do that. And I realized that the more that I learned about the body, the more I realized what you said, it is a one way, and nothing should be going back in if that's how it's supposed your body functions to go that one way, which is to eliminate. So for me, when I was doing the colonics, I would realize, and I would actually tell like my clients, um, I would tell them, okay, well, if it's chronic, do it, do the colonic, do it a few times, even if it's like 3 times per month, but they have to stop eating a certain type of food, they have to change their diet, you know. And I used to tell them that this shouldn't be something that they do throughout the entire year, you know, because obviously your body is a certain way because of the way that you've been eating for so many years, you know. So
Yep.
if they try to, this is just pretty much like something just to assist their body in getting back to its normal function, you know. So although like there would be some women who don't really have like a bad diet, but they've been constipated, but it would be something that could be changed so sudden, you know. They could stop eating a certain food and within a week you could be flowing regularly, you know. So I would just tell them do it this one time, you know, and then I would give them, I would sell. I used to work at Queen of Foods, so I would sell her products and tell her, tell the clients, you know, take this, but also take other stuff from the herb stores, you know, and I would give them like a diet plan to change up,
Mm-hmm.
and but I see what you mean. It's interesting how I don't do the colonics anymore, but it makes a lot of sense that this is not something normal that people should be doing. You know, you're just gonna throw your whole body off if you keep on doing it throughout the entire year, you know, without even changing your diet. It's like, what's the point? And I think a lot of places, not Queen of Foods Center, but a lot of other places, they don't do these consultations. They don't tell the clients this. They just say, okay, well, I'm constipated. All right, do the colonic. Keep on coming. They take their money, and they're just effing up their whole bodily function, and you know, I guess homeostasis. So
I mean, and that's where money plays a part, right?
right,
You know, because that's why I mean I don't do it. I really don't recommend it. If somebody wants to do it, hey, that's your choice, right? But the goal, what your goals are, doesn't really recommend or require yearly colonics,
right,
right? It's, I just focus on what you put in, because what you put in is what you're gonna get out. We see that everywhere, no matter what we do. You put that child to watch Bible stories. You put that child to play video games, right? You put the next one to watch drama. Listen, not even for a long period of time, and that is what you're gonna get out. So what is the difference with what am I eating, right? If I put money in the bank and I leave it there, what am I gonna get out? I'm gonna get out whatever I put in, right? They ain't gonna give me 3 times what I put in unless I invest, right? So so if I invest in the quality of food that I put in, right, then I'm gonna get more to put out, to give out, right? It's just like the exercise we're doing with the what do you call it? 45-day thing,
mm-hmm.
that exercise, right? So the more you give, the more you put in and know what you are, right? The more you could put out, right? And what you put out is is on point. It's the thoughts that flow. It's what is the unseen. And then the body just has to produce the action. As we produce the action, everything starts taking form. To me, it's simple like that, but I could be wrong. Don't take my word for it. All right. And then from the colon, it just goes through the anus. Not much people have problems with the anus. I would say it's only what they call it, hemorrhoids. One of them is hemorrhoids. That's the main one, and that's because they're forcing to move the bowels. Right, as you force to move your bowels, not normally you see like vein in the head come up, right? And that's because there's no more circulation. When you're forced to do anything, you contract. And when you contract, there's no movement. When there's no movement, that means, hey, you're dealing with their stuff, right? Well, what is happening is now it pushes on the tissue and all of that. There's no oxygen in there to create flow because you tense, Right? So it doesn't flow. Now it starts pushing on the tissue, the veins and stuff starts to weaken, and stuff starts coming out. And yes, fiber is number one. Fiber is number one. But more than likely you have to give them some type of colon cleanse first. But then once the colon starts moving, then they start changing up and taking in way more fiber than anything else. And that could clear up too. You know, it's not hard. You don't have to go and take surgery to remove hemorrhoids. And why people like just cutting shit out of them is like maybe they cut too much meat before, cut too much chicken and beef, steaks and all of that. So they just, hey, yeah, I chopped that flesh already. So maybe if I chop out piece of my ass, it will be all right. No, I can't understand. It's not that I can't understand, but I'm just trying to connect the dots. Like, how is it so easy for you to let somebody just cut a piece of you, take it out of you completely?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like with that, that's a lot of it goes down to what people think. They think that these doctors and these surgeons are quasi gods. They think that they're the first, as if they control your body. As if like you're a puppet. So I mean, we all have been there. Now our thoughts are flowing better, so we're able to actually understand how our body functions. But honestly, like this class, if you can make this public, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will start changing up their diets, and because now they can understand deeper, not just I eat food, it goes through my body and I shut it out. It's like they understand what affects your body when a certain food that you eat enters it, and its function. A lot of people don't know the basics. So if you told somebody, exactly what we read and what you've been explaining to us, they'll want to, put stuff in their body that's going to make them feel better. They'll understand it more. So it's really just like, I mean, the same thing with fibroids and what is it? Cutting the uterus out and getting all these hysterectomies, breast cancer and cutting your breast off. It's like they're not. They may even get a second opinion from another doctor, but that second opinion, the doctor's probably going to tell you the same thing that the first one told you because of what they've been taught, in medical school. So all that knowledge, that so-called knowledge that they receive, is just not what should happen as a treatment. So, like, I'm not going to say that it's hard because I don't like to say that either, but it's more so it's going to be a difficult journey for certain people until they know how their body functions. Just like you say all the time, until you know what you are, but it's also until you know how your body functions, like the basics. So that's going to happen a lot. They're going to want to find something that's a fast release, which is to cut it out, So that's what they're going to go for. And, we supposedly look up to these doctors because of their high level of schooling or knowledge, that they've gotten from these trainings. But honestly, like, we can train ourselves to just know how our body, functions. And I think we'll be fine.
That's as simple as that. Once you know your body, you straight.
Right.
You don't have to worry about nothing.
Right.
But we weren't taught that. We weren't taught that how our body functions. We weren't taught what we are. We were taught who to be.
Right.
Or maybe what to become. But we weren't taught exactly what we are. But yeah, I mean, hey, listen, it is what it is, As I say, there's a lot of information out there on the internet that people have access to. But it's a choice. Do they choose to make any decisions? I don't know. Reason for that? One main reason for it is the distractions that are out here.
Right.
There's tons of distractions. Everywhere you turn is a distraction. Right? So You know, until we get over that too, I mean, ain't much we could do. I mean, there's a lot we could do. I don't like talking like that. I've but like this. I don't want to say I've trusted people or that like that.
So you don't want to what?
I don't want to say I've trusted my people and all of that. I
Mm.
just know what I am, and if I could know what I am, anybody could know because we are all the same damn thing. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you come at me with. I will show you that we are all the same
Right. We eat food
thing.
and we spit it out. Our bodies do the same thing.
Oh, it don't matter. It don't matter. All the functions is the same,
Right.
right? So if we don't have no more questions, I mean it's already 2 o'clock. We could wrap it up. And I will post the endocrine system maybe later today. I will try and post this video also. And why is spleen overlooked? Here, yes. The spleen. Yo, all right. We ain't really get to the spleen yet, but the spleen is always overlooked. Why? Why shouldn't it be overlooked? Because if you explain to people that, all right, so the spleen, the spleen, right? Blood passes through the spleen. And when it passes through the spleen, now any damaged blood cells, it takes care of, right? And then send signals, right, to produce more blood cells to take their place. So then, if you have a disease floating around your body, or a bacteria, or a virus floating around your body, in your cells, of course, attacking your cells, breaking them down. And the spleen is doing what it's supposed to do because you're feeding your body right, you're fueling your body correctly. Then would you have any of these so-called conditions?
Mm.
How much of these different things would be in your blood?
Mm.
But nobody talks about the spleen is for a reason.
Poor liver, poor spleen, poor gallbladder. The lonely
Listen,
one.
the body's amazing. The body's amazing, right? And we only talking about the physical part of the body. You know, when we start matching up the organs and the the glands to the stars and the planets and all of that, come on, come on.
Mm.
That's why I say know what you are, man. But
Mm.
the spleen is amazing too, right? And I say you should take care of your spleen. Take care of your entire body. Bottom
Right.
line. So what we will do is we'll wrap up for today. Um, I gotta get ready for melons with seeds and make some. I'll label some tonics and stuff. So my evening is very packed, but I'll definitely, as I say, get all this stuff done. Johan, how is the knee? How is the knee going?
Um, it's going. I had to ask you a question also about the tea because I wanted to know how many times a day. I just got it like 2 days ago,
Okay, okay.
but
What
I.
I,
Mm-hmm.
what I would say, do at least 3 cups a day if you want. Now when I say 3 cups, use like a tablespoon to a cup, but only use a tablespoon for the day, right? Due to the fact that there's a lot of roots in there, what will happen is you could make more than 1 cup, especially if you steep in it, right? So instead of steeping that tea, what I would do, I would put it on the fire and just simmer it for about 15, 20 minutes, and then just turn it off and let it sit. And then you have your tea for the day right in there.
Okay, so just do it all in one sitting.
Yeah, do it all in one sitting, and as I say, you could keep it in the fridge, you could keep it out.
Okay.
It's not one of those teas that just starts turning after a day or two. It's very, not strong, but Not strong in the sense of strong, but strong in the sense of vibes, the vibration of the tea. Yeah.
Got it.
All right.
Okay. And the rub that you sent, I mean, I've been just put it on.
Yeah, just put it on.
Doesn't matter how many times a day.
No, you know, you could do up to 6 times a day if you want. It's up to you.
Okay.
All right. All right, you all. So enjoy your weekend. I think tomorrow is supposed to be a holiday according to society's calendar. So I would be here just to gain some work done. Did everyone get a chance to go on this new thing here? The what do you call it? The web